Hello, fellow Fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Filmfumblers Show, the podcast where four friends fumble through your favorite films. Today, we are reviewing Memoirs of A Geisha, a movie released in 2005 and directed by Rob Marshall. So without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
What's up? It's James.
What's up, James?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, James.
Yeah. Here
Oh. You made me think that something was wrong. Just what's going on, James? Hey. Oh,
Hey.
There, buddy.
doing real talks?
How we
Wait,
how
did
we
you just-
doing tonight? Jay, coming into this, you were like, I want to know where your head's at, Jay. This is a rough one for you, huh?
Okay.
Let's take a shot before you
Yeah,
spill your
yeah.
heart.
Before
What?
the person who picked this
Oh,
movie,
yeah,
his
yeah.
favorite
you
movie,
guys-
by the way, be careful, y'all.
Okay, sorry. I don't actually have a shot, but I'm drinking pretty much just whiskey and seltzer. Well, exactly just whiskey and seltzer. So, cheers, guys.
Cheers. Ow, God.
Ooh,
Anyone-
my throat.
Huh?
No sake. We should have.
Oh my God, I have
Oh,
okay.
good
God
idea.
damn
I'm
it.
drinking the next closest thing I had,
Nice.
which is the last of my Oishi whiskey that I got as a birthday gift from Levi. Shout out to Levi.
Oh,
But it's gone now.
Okay. Are you ready?
Let's go, Jay.
I'm ready.
So, here's the deal. All right. I had a hard time with this movie, and this is not like to talk shit on Alicia's favorite movie, and I know that you've been waiting a long time for us to do it.
Oh no, this is her favorite. I didn't know that.
Do not worry about it. She was like, it's all right. She told me a couple weeks ago. She was like, it's all right. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
All right, sit all over it, Jay.
No,
She
I,
is your
I,
sister,
I just had
James.
a
It's
rough.
like-
It's fine. I just had a rough. I don't know. Something about it couldn't really keep me engaged, but there were things about it that I did like. Like the
Yeah.
intro, the opening. It set it up really well, but when there was no subtitles when they were speaking, I was like, oh no, is this all in English? And then
Yeah.
nobody tells what they're saying. And I hate
Yeah.
that shit, dude.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
like, fuck, okay. But I still liked that sequence. It was the whole movie actually is beautifully shot.
yeah.
Tons of seriously beautiful, but everything else is just so hard for me to get through. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll
You know what
open with that.
You know what I think it suffers from? And it's a phenomena that we've talked about a lot of times on this show. It is the mid-aughts from 2000 to 2009.
Oh.
And I feel like that because okay, here's my theory on it. And this is a working theory. So I think it's not old enough to be a classic, but too old so where it's still kind of really cheesy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And
so
technology
it's
was
like-
still ramping up, so there's
Yeah,
those
and they were
flaws.
doing a lot of experimentation and stuff, and I think that this movie does suffer from that quite a bit. Like some of the writing and the line delivery and a lot of it was like, I want this to be really cool, but a lot of it is delivered poorly and it's a little uncomfortable. And I think it's
Yeah.
that 2005
I mean,
vibe.
You gotta give them a little bit of credit with line delivery. I know they
No,
don't have-
not all of them. Not all of them. I don't want to say
Yeah.
it was just bad from start to finish. Absolutely not. I didn't
Yeah.
hate this movie by any means. I didn't, but it left
And
a
I
lot to be
think-
desired.
Yeah, but I still think even though the line delivery was sometimes awkward and the emphasis on some I don't know, it's very obvious it's second language kind of stuff
Yeah.
where they don't put the emphasis on some things. It was still decent acting. I thought
And
it was
I feel no,
pretty
and
good.
I think you're right, but that brings it back to Jay's point where it was like, oh shit, is this all going to be in English? Because
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today. I was just like, this movie would have been way better if it was in Japanese and subtitled.
100%.
So much better.
100%.
And
And
I
you're
don't know, maybe
talking about-
2005 they were just like, we're not there yet, but Americans can't watch subtitled movies. I don't know,
Yeah.
You're talking about how they're able to what the delivery of the lines was like. the entire sound department had to go in and edit them. Like, a lot of the actors couldn't actually speak English almost very well at all. And
Yeah.
so they
Mhm.
would go and find other lines from the movie that the actors had said, and they would stitch them all together
Oh,
to
wow.
What the
Really?
make them pronounce things all the way. And
Did
they
you
won an
notice
award
that?
for doing this.
Whoa.
Well, I noticed that the delivery was weird, but I didn't notice that specifically.
That's
And then I read
crazy.
that today. And they won an award for it. And I'm like,
For
Jesus
what?
Christ, man.
What is the award exactly?
For sound editing, I guess.
Oh,
But like
Holy
all they're really
shit.
doing is like fixing, I don't know. It just came off weird to me.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so to be fair, it did it well enough so we didn't know that that's what they were doing, but
Yeah.
not so
Right.
well that it felt like poor line delivery.
But also
Okay.
like if you have to do that, you should have just done it in like
In
Japanese.
Japanese, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's like the big controversy about the movie is that none of these actors are even Japanese. They're all
Right.
Well,
Chinese.
not none, but the main one.
Besides,
I think like
yeah,
the
the
main
main, the
Yeah.
most of the ladies are
Yeah.
Chinese, right?
And that was interesting in that it caused
Would it be
so
better
much
if they did it
real-
in Chinese?
Yeah.
No,
It's their,
not in
their
Japan.
native
Oh.
language.
I
I
would
don't
do that
know.
in Japan.
If
guys
that
would
way
do
they
it.
know the like I don't know, just where to put emphasis on the words, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes off like kind of soulless.
I mean, like, to be fair, for the average American, myself included, like, I probably wouldn't have noticed that much. Like, I know Taryn is just like, dude, Chinese and Japanese are in opposite languages.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't listened to enough of either of them. They're both very Eastern languages to me. Like, not to dismiss it. It's just like I'm not familiar with it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
probably
it
might have
should have
been
been in Japanese.
more controversial if it was in Chinese.
Well,
Yeah,
it
no, I
caused a
think-
lot of real
yeah.
life splits, right? Like China
Yeah.
just straight up banned this movie.
Japan hated it too.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
guess, what do you expect when you just have some white guy walk in and make it? Like, that was weird too.
Yeah.
My name is Rob
Yeah.
Marshall. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Let's twist history.
Man.
I
The
get that, like,
typical white man.
it's based on a book, right? Also written by some white dude. And
Yeah.
so, like, the whole thing just has a little bit of that in it. I don't know.
But
Oh,
that
yeah.
book is
Yeah.
more well regarded, isn't it? Regarded?
Yeah, it was written a
I
long
think
time ago.
so.
I don't know how that changes things, but
The 90s.
it is
right?
well regarded.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, like
that's
the 40s or something.
it's funny that you bring up like the aughts thing, Adrian, because I don't think it gives that vibe at all. But I do think it was too early for this type of movie because now it would have just been in Japanese.
Yeah,
And they would have
exactly.
hired more Japanese people. Like it would have just been
Exactly.
better overall, just straight out because of that. And it was like I don't know. Yeah, I guess not too.
That's
late
a
for
really
anything,
good
but
point.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. Is today if this movie was made today, it would have been leagues better because, like you said, they would have just went with it in Japanese. I was telling Samantha, I was like, 2019 Parasite, which won so much in
Best
American
Picture,
culture.
baby.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
won so much. It's all in Korean and subtitled. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't think we were ready for that in 2005, but we definitely are today.
Yeah,
So that is a good point.
for sure. But that's interesting because it makes me think of the game Ghost of Tsushima that came out last year. You guys are familiar with
Mhm.
this game? It's a PlayStation game.
I've heard, yeah.
It's a Western studio, like all English speaking people, and they made like a historical Japanese game, but they did so much research. They went to Tsushima and all these different places and like they like did it right. You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
This movie like came out later, it would have probably had that part of it too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Remake it.
I-
The one time I wanted
it's
to
like
remake.
okay, so like bringing up Parasite again, what's his name? Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
He has that quote where he says, "If you can get over the barrier of 1-inch subtitles, you will be introduced to a world of whatever."
Yeah.
You know? And you guys are right. Like I don't think anyone was ready for that. Anyone
Mhm.
like it was just like
Dude, I would argue a lot of people still aren't.
Oh yeah.
yeah, still aren't. Yeah. That's
It's
true.
growing,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's not, you know.
It is.
It's funny,
Yeah.
I saw a quote from him yesterday too that was like some interviewer asked him, he's like, "Oh, how did they like dub movies in Korea or whatever?" Like from other countries like America or something. He's like, we don't dub them, we just have subtitles because it's not that
They
fucking
don't,
hard to read them.
Yeah. And then like I don't know, it's just like the whole marketing aspect of it is that thing is like you don't want I don't know, they're just trying to sell this thing which is like a big problem in this movie is that like this really doesn't have anything to do with geisha culture. Like it has like a tiny little bit of it, but like Western view of geisha is almost synonymous with like prostitution. And that's
Yeah.
like far from the truth. It even happened back in the 40s. Some sex workers that were in Japan, they kind of tricked Americans by telling them we're geishas,
Oh,
but
we're
they actually
geisha.
they weren't. They weren't. And so it just became this thing where there was actually a time, I guess, a bunch of fucking drunk, rowdy American soldiers were like, "We want the geishas,"
Yeah.
and like it became that, you know. And I mean, the movie, and I don't want to say that I'm like this fucking expert on geisha stuff. It just barely sprinkled a little bit of what it's all about. But that's what sells. The sex sells. The drama
Mhm.
sells. Like, would you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would it be that much more interesting if it wasn't like that?
Dude, I think there's a ton of interesting concepts in the story. They're just done kind of poorly. Like
Mhm.
even the intro, right? Selling your daughter or whatever off into this like thing. Like that's crazy. You could do a lot with that. They just kind of like showed you in like 5 minutes and got it going.
Yeah.
The whole like growing up in the classes or whatever, like that's kind of interesting. But I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of the drama and like these like random, like seemingly random, like romance attempts. And I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
preferred it, I think, to that. But again, like you're saying, sex sells, and I don't think that I'm the intended audience of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like they
I-
skirted
yeah.
that like prostitution aspect of it so weirdly, where it's like, are they not? Like they didn't really like fully say,
Yeah.
but like
And you
they
know
were
what's
trying
funny
to, right?
is
Yeah.
my shitty half-assed internet research that I did is that it was kind of like they might have not. Sometimes they didn't, but sometimes they did. And that's what's like kind of weird
Yeah.
about this movie is that it is kind of I would say it was more likely that they didn't than they
Are you
did.
saying in
So
real life?
Yeah,
in real life, sometimes
Okay.
they would sell their virginity. Sometimes they would
that's
have
like almost
sex.
never, I would assume. That's like
Yeah,
they're probably
I mean,
banished if
There
they,
was
you know what I
there was
mean?
like this
yeah.
whole like this whole
But
legal.
also,
Go ahead, James. Go ahead. Finish
but
it.
also like I don't know, whenever you're going like women get coerced into that kind of stuff, and I think the nature of the job of being a geisha and being with like these high ranking men or whatever, you know, they're probably like, you're gonna have sex with me. How could you say no? You know, kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
rape, basically. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
What is the word? Denage or whatever? Like they're
Oh, Dana. Yeah. The
Yeah.
sponsor basically.
yeah.
And see, that was another thing that this movie kind of left a little bit open-ended because so Samantha was just like, well, that's like kind of her husband, right? Like he lives with her, he pays for her stuff, like probably gets to sleep with her. But like kind of looking into what a geisha is like it's a sponsor and it kind of stops there, like as
Yeah.
far as like romantically, right? And
Yeah.
so
They
it
hang
didn't
out with
really
them, drink with them, buy them shit,
right.
and that's
Yeah,
like
it's just
it.
like, hey, like I'm supporting you in becoming a geisha because, you know, it is not cheap. Like it's not a cheap thing to do. And it takes a long time, you know. So it's kind of like literally going to through college, you know, it's like a 6-year process depending and yeah, but to touch on like were they like did they prostitute at all or not? I think there was like not even just a cultural thing, but actually a legal battle that was happening with the geisha and another I guess you would call it maybe a profession. I can't remember the name of what it was. If I was a good researcher, I would have written that down. But it was basically like that those that other group that weren't geisha, they were more prostitutes where they would like be able to to like perform sexually,
Yeah.
and the geisha could not. And like it was this whole divide that if the geisha were to become prostitutes, then it would take all of the business from that other thing. So it turned into like that other group could not entertain, but they could have sex, and the geisha could not
Yeah.
have sex, but they could only entertain. So it was
Hmm.
like it was very divided culturally, but also like legally. So it wasn't, you know. And this movie was kind of just like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Which is like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that, if those lines were as blurred. I don't know.
Yeah, because like when
Yeah.
they're teaching her all this stuff is like you don't show like you like show your wrist to show like any skin
Right,
is like
yeah.
your wrist. Don't show your feet
Make-
to them.
make
Like that's
it
not what we're
thin.
doing
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like weird to make that jump, I think. For them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very contradictive I mean, with the selling of the virginity.
Yeah,
then-
that was another really strange thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what was it, 1930, like early 30s this
This movie,
time? when
yeah.
she was- so it was like 20s to early 30s before World War II. But yeah, I mean, all of that is just uncomfortable. And I think like that was a lot of my problem with the main love interest, the chairman, where like she met him when she was 9 years old and like
Yeah.
falls
You know
in
how
love.
old
But
he
like,
was at that point?
he was in his 40s, right? Like
45?
yeah, mid 40s.
Wow.
And like he's like
That's
kind
like,
like
the real-
ultimately falls in love with her too in a way, right? And like tells what's her name, Mameha, to like mentor her and
Yeah.
go through all of that. And she's 9. I don't know. And that's that kind of, I don't know, it just makes it uncomfortable at the very final scene where they're going through, not to jump around too much, but the very final scene where it's just like supposed to be this beautiful, amazing thing. And the scene is shot very well, and it feels like it should feel that way. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh god, she's like 19 and he's like in his 60s, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just so weird. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
Like when they
Not
first
to-
meet, it's like
Half your age
endearing.
plus 7, man. I don't know. Is that the rule? He's far beyond that.
It's like endearing when they first meet. He's just like trying to help this little girl, bias or whatever. Then like
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
fine, it's cool.
Yeah.
But the way it resolves, I'm like, I'm so out now. Like I did not.
Yeah, but I think that's what like. Okay, so it's very obviously it's disgusting, right? This guy
Right.
guy literally mentions to her that his children wait for the fucking ice cream cones every spring. He's married and has kids. Tells this 9-year-old that.
Yeah. That's
Disgusting. Just fucking like I mean, but like that's the thing is like I think this movie was marketed as like this crazy you don't know he's married. He has kids. Either way, I don't know. That's terrible. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine buying an ice cream cone for this little kid, and you, in the back of your mind, know that your kid likes those ice cream cones too, and then you're hooking up with her at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Sits wrong. Sits wrong with me.
That's why the
Anyways.
payout felt wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, I got sidetracked. Wow, I lost my train of thought. I'll come back to it maybe.
Let me interrupt here then. Yeah, going along those lines, they were trying to do too many fucking things in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe all these things are in the book in some way, but like it just doesn't work. Like you were jumping all over the place to the point where like some of it just felt like, you know, like they were just doing shit to do shit, and I was just like, what is happening? Like to the point where I was questioning it, you know?
This is what I was gonna say. So, like, I mean, the movie is like basically marketed as this romance thing, but I think it's like truly a tragedy, right? Like it's I think if you
Yeah.
look at it from the Western mindset, this is so fucking tragic that this young girl, the only kind of love and support that she's ever felt is by this guy buying her a
Random
snow cone.
guy, yeah.
Random guy, and that gives her the entire hope of continuing living in the geisha school and all this stuff, and it gives her like hope for a better life. That's fucking tragic.
And that
Yeah.
brings up a good point, because that takes us to the very last monologue in the film where she's saying like, after all, this is not the memoirs of a queen or an empress. This is the memoirs of something else. And like it kind of says like her getting that love was the best happy ending that possibly could have happened, even how horrible it ultimately is, right? Like
Yeah.
so
And
it ended
even
well. That was a cool kind of
But it-
admission to that, I guess.
Sure.
even that, like the fact that she was the narrator the whole time. Like how many times did that happen in the movie? Oh, he bought her the snow cone the whole time. Oh, she was the narrator the whole time. Oh, that girl got revenge on her by bringing the chairman
Yeah.
to the other guy the whole time. You know what I mean? I was
Right.
just like, okay, like relax. One twist would have been good enough. One connection, you know.
Yeah.
And
I'd
what
see
James
for
was
me-
saying, this whole idea around her getting the snow cone and having that be the most love she's ever felt, that's a whole concept that you can explore in one movie, you know?
Yeah, she just got daddy issues, dude. Her daddy sold her. Now she got to buy a daddy, earn a daddy, and now she got to slurp up that cone for the rest of her life. Okay, I've said too much.
And she's
No.
9.
I mean, for me, okay, I see you're annoyed by the drama aspect. I don't know. I was fine with it. I was like, damn, Pumpkin, you really did her wrong, didn't you? Like I
Dude,
was like,
I
Pumpkin.
couldn't believe
it's
Pumpkin,
fucking. It's
That was where that
it's,
white guy mentality came in with the name of Pumpkin.
White girl is who likes whiskey.
Hell yeah, dude. She was fucking unhinged after World War II, dude. She was like, fuck it, we're getting sloppy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's talk about Atsumomo. The older
The
rival.
antagonist,
the
right?
the antagonist. Do you guys recognize her from anywhere?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, should I?
Yeah, she's the antagonist for the new Mulan.
Oh.
This movie gave me Mulan vibes.
Me too.
Oh,
Interesting. Yeah,
I unplugged my headset.
I mean,
I didn't hear
that's-
anything. What?
it gave. Turns out it gave him Mulan vibes.
The whole movie, or not the whole movie,
Movie.
parts of it, like where they're
Yeah,
getting
maybe it's
ready and they're
the same
teaching her how to
actor.
be a woman. I don't know.
Yeah. And
Especially
honestly,
the music too.
yeah. And I was thinking half the time, like, low key, this is what I wish Mulan was, because like they show so much. I guess not what I wanted Mulan to be, but like the set design wise. Remember like where
Oh,
Mulan grew
sure.
up? It was
Oh,
like that
yeah.
fucking little ass like
Circle
circle
set.
thing. Like it was
Yeah, it
weird
was
as
a
fuck.
terrible
Like this
set.
was like immaculate.
Badass,
Like
yeah,
it
it
was
was really
No,
good.
and that's the thing is like there are a lot of positives about this movie. Like the set was amazing, and I think ultimately a lot of the writing was actually really good. But what really won me over, John fucking Williams, man. Like the music just felt it's so good again throughout all of this, and it really just showed his diversity in being
Yeah.
able to like create this, compose this kind of music. Like,
Yeah, I was
Well,
watching. Oh, go ahead.
It was Yo-Yo Ma, dude.
On the
That
cello,
fucking
yeah.
cello, brother.
Yes. So I watched the video earlier. That was like I don't know, some interview shit. John Williams, and he was like, "What if we got Yoko or Yo-Yo Ma on the cello?" And I was like,
in the
it's like, I've heard
background.
this name. And it's like he basically wrote the cello stuff is like Sayori's like theme basically. Like the cello represents her,
Yeah.
and then like all this cool stuff. Like some other person that I don't remember the name of is also a famous musician, plays the violin. I don't remember.
okay.
But he's like that represents like the chairman and all this stuff, and it like showed clips. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh fuck, I didn't notice that. But
Which is interesting because okay, so there's a podcast. Everyone go listen to it. It's called The Baton, and it follows John Williams apparently 60 years in composing. And there's
Wow.
an episode on each of his fucking things.
Oh,
I listened to
shit.
the Memoirs of the Geishas
So
one
cool.
today. And so yeah, so the cello is a darker, deeper
tone.
instrument, and usually that's like would be sort of male, and the violin is more female. But he has it switched, and it's interesting. Oh, it's like an hour and
Damn.
20, and he plays,
The
or I mean, they
baton?
play the music. It's called The Baton, and it's all of John Williams stuff.
Nice.
and it just dissects it and talks about it. It's really good. It was really
Dude,
good.
the most interesting thing about the video I watched that I saw, it was like John Williams read the book and was like, he heard they were doing a movie and was like, I have to do it. Like the guy was like,
Oh,
John
really?
Williams has never asked to do a movie, but he asked to do this movie. Like he was so
Yeah.
into it. He's like, I want to challenge. Like I want to try to do this. And I was like,
Yeah, because he
Well, of
wanted
course you
to
nailed
to
it.
blend the western and the eastern worlds, so that's why he had Yo-Yo Ma come in with him. But you know, Steven Spielberg was actually supposed to direct this movie, but
He's
he
a producer,
dropped
right?
yeah.
he dropped it
Yeah.
for AI. But once he was on the producer, he was like, "Yeah, I'm in," because Steven Spielberg go way back.
Dude,
So
2 weeks in a row.
yeah, he slid right
John
in.
Williams, Steven Spielberg connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But interesting that the music kind of was a little bit, maybe a little more ahead of its time than the other part of the production, because like as we said, like I think 4 of the main characters aren't Japanese. It's in English, but like in the music, granted it's John Williams, a very white man, as the composer, but like getting a lot of this kind of cultured, you know, from other
Yeah.
famous musicians who like of that kind of culture.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
super into it, and that's what I appreciated. Because I wanted to know. I was
Yeah.
like, was this a paycheck? Was he into it? Like, I wanted to. That's why I found that video. I wanted to know
Yeah.
where he stood.
That's interesting because it's a stark difference to the direction of the fucking movie, where apparently they hired a like anthropologist, like consultant, to like, you know, make sure they were doing shit at least semi in the realm of Japanese culture.
Reality, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they would consult her for every scene, and she did an interview, and she was like, "Yeah, they basically just did whatever they wanted anyway." Like they would ask me about
Wow.
Like
every
they
scene,
hired her just to say that they did.
Yeah.
So they know that they
Fuck.
were wrong.
and they were like, she was like, they just followed their own instincts every time.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
oh
wow.
jeez. So that's where that vibe of it just being weird
Okay.
comes from, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
shout
like-
outs John Williams for trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And succeeding. I think the music was good.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no,
I
it's
mean,
like
it's
it.
great.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
so
it's
crazy.
great.
There's a world that this movie just works as is, like with all the same production, all the same people, and it just didn't. It's crazy.
yeah.
Well, you never know. It might be remade.
Yeah, a world made of that movie made.
And it
remade.
might be so like even the book itself was based off of stories that an actual geisha told the author of the book, and she ended up suing him for like defamation and all this stuff, and she was like,
Yeah.
he twisted
wow.
my words, and then
He
she ended
took
up
her,
coming out with her own novel.
Oh, really? She took
Yeah.
his stories a little too literal, and a lot of the characters are like the same, literal, like the same shit. Like Pumpkin was like her sister's nickname and all this shit. I was like,
Oh, okay.
it's like copy my homework but changed it a little bit, kind of thing. Didn't change it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did see other things that they tried to kind of make it a little bit more "quote unquote" traditional. With like a lot of the cast went to a 6-week crash course of like what it is to be a geisha. But I mean, I don't know, 6 weeks and something that takes people 6 years. Yeah, this is, I guess, the movie that you get for something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, like the reason, like I saw like the reason they're like getting all these Chinese people and stuff, like they got a lot of shit for it, but they're like, they like doubled down. They're like, no, we wanted acting prowess over ethnicity, basically. Like if they could nail the part, that's all that matters. Whatever. It's like, how do you guys
Yeah.
feel about that?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. Like, and I think that's something that we've talked about. Like, we talked about that in Mulan, where we said, you know, like if a Japanese character is actually the best one for this role, yes, let's cast the Japanese character. But like if there's somebody that is not of that ethnicity and really does nail it, like maybe we should do that too. But I think the issue that we kind of brought up last time was like early in the day, these Japanese actors weren't even getting an audition,
Right.
you know, and like so I would hope that, you know, they did legitimately go through and say like let's get a very diverse set of people that we can audition for this. And and they weren't just like, oh, we had connections with Chinese actors more than we did with Japanese.
Yeah,
and
because
I
the
don't
main girl
know.
was kind of big, right? She's in like Crouching Tiger, or was that later? I don't know. Like she seemed
She
like
is
she was
one of the
decently
biggest,
big.
yeah,
So it's
Chinese
like
actresses.
I kind of get where they're coming from, but like this movie where it's 100% Japanese history, I don't know. 2021 eyes here, I'm like they didn't try hard enough. There had to have been
Yeah.
Japanese people that were good enough for this.
And then
shit.
like, you know, just
Right.
the title of the movie alone, like Memoirs of a Geisha, like it's like leading you to believe like this is the diary. Like this is like what is actually happening, you know? And
Yeah.
Like this is
yeah,
supposed to be
maybe
taken
a little lazy.
pretty
Yeah.
seriously, like based on a true story, almost kind of shit.
Right.
Yeah. It felt a little okay, dude, from me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of boxes to be checked. I mean, if you try to cast a Japanese person, he also has to speak English too,
Sure.
right?
that's
So
true.
it's
Not if
like
it was just in Japanese.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think we can all kind of agree on. But
Okay.
I'm-
Do you have something?
yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say one of the scenes that really stands out that like I really wanted to love and initially did was the snow dance. You guys know what I'm
Dude, that
talking
was
about?
badass. Yeah,
Performance
on the
or
stage. Yeah.
whatever.
It was like so cool, and then it just got so confusing and like artsy fartsy where I was like, oh man, this is like
Interpretive dance.
dance. And, like,
Yeah.
it just I don't know, it started out so cool and then
I thought she
it
tripped.
ended so bad, I think.
Shit.
Where I was like literally me and Samantha were like laughing, like looking at each other like, what is happening? Like
Dude, it's
I don't
beautiful. It's art, man. She's like a
And-
vampire. She
yeah,
was
maybe
like,
you can say like this is actually the thing they got right was traditional geisha dancing. I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay, that's
yeah.
the thing you should have fucked up on, man.
and you're laughing at it.
I don't know.
I thought that scene was beautiful, and
was
No,
so
it was.
cool.
It really was.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like we were saying earlier, you know, in this time, VFX looks kind of bad, and this
VFX,
was
bro,
all like
is literal, isn't it?
practicals,
Oh,
right?
right. Sorry.
And so like it stood out hard. Like it was like,
Okay.
holy
Yeah,
shit, this
yeah.
looks great, and it was so cool, and it was just like really interesting to watch. The thing that I noticed though, and maybe this was a conscious choice, maybe not, who knows, but like it would alter between her kind of intimate, you know, performance experience where she's the only person in the frame and the lights are too dark to see anybody else and you don't see any like silhouettes of heads. It's just her and it's just the like flakes or the dancing or whatever.
Mhm.
And then it would cut out to the audience view where you do see silhouettes of heads.
The lights are
And it
off.
was a little bit different. And then would
Yeah.
cut back in and cut back out. And that dance was cool because she, from that point on, you kind of feel like she has a real appreciation for like wanting to be a good geisha.
Mhm.
And she's kind of like acting a little bit more like it. And they go to that dinner, you know, and she's like feeling herself a bit.
Yeah.
Which it contrasts with the older one. What was her name?
Hatsumomo.
Oh, yeah.
Hatsumomo, yeah. But that scene, like just from that perspective, was like so cool, and almost for me, like worth watching this movie alone just for that scene.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I
And
guess
for
I
me,
can't-
it was awkward because like it kept panning to the audience, and you have all these fucking creepy old dudes like, yeah, because like,
Yeah,
because like, Katsumomo's like trying to sabotage her like previously.
right.
So like she sees a doctor when she gets the cut, and then Hatsumomo goes over there and like she sleeps with poor people, and he's like, yuck, poor people.
Yeah.
And then and then like I don't know, there's the Baron who's a fucking freak. Do you guys know
Shang
where he's from?
Tsung, dude.
He's fucking from Mortal Kombat. I will swallow your soul, or whatever he says.
What?
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know. That was just like, whatever you just like, it just pans back to them, and they're all like, "Ooh, this is nice." It's just like,
Dude.
it's just weird.
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't know if
weird.
that's what you were saying, Jay, but I feel like they should have just kept it on her. You couldn't see the crowd, and she's just feeling herself. You're just in the moment with her, and then
Yeah.
when she finishes,
but-
they show everyone. But I get why they had to
I
show
think
the
that's what
reactions,
makes
I guess.
those shots more powerful. Is like they're towing the line between like prostitute, stripper, and geisha already.
Mm.
Like here's a a way that you can visualize that where, you know, what she's doing is at its like truest form with nobody else in the room, beautiful. And
Yeah.
having all those people in the room adds this weird dynamic.
Yeah, it's like
to
a
it.
non-sexual
and especially the way they're
dance.
acting.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
Yeah. And
fawning
it's
over
interesting because literally the scene before that, right, is where she gives not the chairman, what is the other guy's name? The
The
Oh,
Baron,
Nobu?
Baron. Is it the Baron?
Nobu-san.
Mr. Krabs.
Nobu.
not the one who actually wins the raffle, but
Nobu
Nobu.
is the guy with the turban,
Nobu.
right? That guy?
yeah, he's the one with the
Scarface.
scar, right? Yeah. So like she gives him that, what is it? Like a pastry or something, whatever. I can't
Rice
remember what it
cake, I
was,
think.
but what is it? Was it?
Rice cake? I don't know. Something like
Yeah,
that.
maybe whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
she gives him that, and that was a symbol that she's like going to essentially sell her virginity. And so like after that scene, you have what is her name? Mameha kind of say like, "Oh, this is what you just did right now, and you're gonna be bid like we're gonna get your bid to be the highest that's ever been." So I was thinking, I was like, okay, this dance is like an advertisement for like, hey, buy my virginity. And then
Yeah.
it just turned into like, this is a weird interpreted dance. But everyone was so into it. So I was like, okay,
So-
1920s Japan, I don't get it. But 1930s.
Was it her virginity? I don't know. Like, I mean, that's what they
Definitely
were
was.
going for, but like the Dana
Well, like,
thing.
Because
Is that
she
what
was,
that leads to? I guess I don't know.
well, because the way that Mameha like kind of like painted it was that we need to get you as like the most prominent geisha or Maiko. I don't know if she was a geisha then, but
Yeah.
like we need to get you to the most like desired one. And so they did all of that publicity for that dance. And remember, Hatsumoma was like pissed about it because she's like, why are you giving her all this thing? But yeah, that, I don't know. It was weird. It was strange.
Interesting.
Yeah. Where were you going to take us earlier, Taryn? You said you had something
Oh,
else.
jeez.
I jumped into the
I don't
another.
remember.
Okay, so another thing that I kind of like, it felt a little bit rushed was the like intro to the World War II thing, where and then they kind of tried to show the sequence of time where like we have 2 minutes of what's her name, Sayuri, 2 minutes of her like making cloth, and then it was just like, oh, like a million years passed. Like I don't know,
Yeah,
it,
that wasn't.
it just kind of felt very rushed, and it was just
Yeah.
it felt like this is the same Sayuri that we saw last scene, and it I don't know if they did a great job at like making it feel like time actually did pass and like she's weathered from the war now.
Yeah, for
Mhm,
sure.
Makes
yeah.
sense?
That's what. Okay, I think that's kind of what I was gonna bring up. Is maybe I just have a problem with like saga movies that are trying to tell like this whole ass fucking story with multiple time jumps and all this stuff. Like
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
Godfather Part 2, for example. Where It's
Okay.
like, no, I'm just saying like they just try to tell so
Yeah.
much in one movie.
Right.
It's just so hard to like keep up with, and like you're saying, like that should have been so much more impactful. Like she was there for like 6 years or something, like crazy amount of time,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
doing.
And then
basically
Nobu
nothing.
shows up. We're getting the band back together.
Yeah,
We're trying to get this
Exactly.
old white man to give us some money. You down, babe? Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
it's like
Oh,
we
I
saw
love
them
how
like
kimono.
2 seconds ago, so it was like,
She does like the whole retired hitman thing. She's like, I don't do that anymore. And he's just like, please. And she's like,
one more
"Okay."
job.
Yeah, just one last
One
job.
job. Operation Still the Colonel's Dick. Yeah, let's go. Oh shit, dude. Yeah.
I'm
So
not
like that whole
geisha
I mean
anymore.
like that was like the problem, like they didn't like try to up age anybody like
Yeah.
Yeah.
besides the girls.
I feel like Mameha they tried.
But I guess Asian don't raisins, so what do I know?
I don't know if it's
Is that insane?
That was like the same way with Mameha though. Like she goes back and she's like, "Let's do this," and she's like, "I don't do that shit anymore. Come on, let's
Yeah.
do this." Okay, let's do this. It's like,
Okay, yeah,
oh,
one more
fuck.
job.
One last ride. Oh, dude, we're trying to heist the fucking Colonel, brothers. Let's fucking go.
Man, fuck
This is sick.
Yeah, that's why that last quarter just feels so like so much happens
Yeah.
Yeah.
because so much literally does like happen, but it's
Mhm.
to the point where like in my notes I'm like writing question marks, you know, like now it's World War II question mark. Now she works like making kimonos or something question mark.
It's
Like
already
you
over,
know, where you're
question
just like,
mark.
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what was going on. Is that like, basically Americans had came, and then the chairman and Nobu was like, "Yo, we got you a job making kimonos. Get the fuck out of here." And she's like, "Oh shit." And so she did that, and then the war ended, and then they came back, and they were like, "Yo, we still got money to make,
Yeah.
so let's get it going." But it,
So you
it
got
does happen so quick.
yeah.
And it doesn't
Do
have
you-
the impact of time of the passage of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean there's
right.
some good stuff in there. Like a lot of the shit that series says is like poetic as fuck and
Oh,
like, really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But like when he comes
Mhm.
back and she's like, I'm not what am I, a geisha without blah 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 whatever. I don't know what she says, but he's like, am I a businessman if I only have like rubble or whatever? And he has that rock. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, this is good, but then it just like is just so fast that it's hard to like soak it in
Yeah.
and like feel it.
Mhm. It feels like they kind of pepper in those one-liners, like the very like, you know, interesting Japanese idioms or whatever,
But
and
see,
Right.
and then I thought that they were like super like racist kind of idioms. Like
oh really?
they like it was like a cheap English like knockoff of
Yeah.
what it would
Yeah.
be
Sure.
in the native language. Like it sound like the whole, remember the eel
Oh, the eel
metaphor
in the cave.
about the eel in the cave? I'm like, oh my god, fucking nobody
Yeah.
talks like this. This is
Yeah.
fucking
It was
stupid. But
sometimes men like their eel to
Yeah.
visit your cave kind of thing.
Ugh.
Like that was
Yeah.
I
literally
missed
the
this.
and
Yeah.
Wait,
like
there's really like birds and
no,
bees shit?
that's what
that's
no,
what
that's
they
what she said.
that was an
After
actual
she's
line in the
Wow.
movie.
after she's auctioning, like after she says she's gonna like she's like, oh, you giving him that rice cake was you auctioning off your virginity. Like that's how
And-
she said it, was like his eel's going in your cave.
Yeah.
The
The
highest
Yeah.
has a
bidder.
for sale sign on it now.
We're
Yeah.
having eel sushi tonight. No, but like it felt like a white dude trying to be, because like I don't know, there's that stereotype that all Asians are very recluse and they have a way with their words, they step around, they try to be polite and all this kind of stuff. But like I don't know, some of that stuff just comes out disingenuine, right?
I could
Yeah.
see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of it was kind of cheesy, but you know what? The parts that were the best when they're at that dinner or whatever, and she roasts the shit out of Hatsumomo like 4 times.
Yeah.
I was howling, dude. That was so
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she was just like, "You've been here for a long time, you old ass bitch."
Yeah,
A
basically, yeah.
long,
I was
long,
like,
long time.
It
"Damn."
was funny. Seeing her
Oh,
get her
yeah.
confidence.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go. Yes,
Yeah.
queen.
Yes, queen.
Yeah.
To tie this to next week, the ending, Nobu just felt like fucking Nick Fury, like walking through the fabric. All right, we're doing something. It was like I was
Assembling
like,
a team.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they literally get on like a military like plane, you know, like it was just
Which
like,
I thought was,
happening?
yeah, which was like the juxtaposition between like oldie times. I don't know the words.
Yeah.
Oldie time
Pre-war,
Japan,
I don't know.
pre-war Japan, and
Post-war.
post-war America. So
Yeah.
like her in her geisha attire on the fucking like Humvee, like just like weird,
Yeah.
so weird, but beautiful to see too, because it
Yeah.
probably happened. You could imagine like
Sure.
and that's what's weird about this movie, is that it doesn't feel like it's in the modern era, you know, like World War II is modern era,
Yeah, yeah.
but like it like all the geisha stuff, like they don't show that much like technological things. I mean, you
Right.
see
No, I
men
know
in
what you're
suits
saying,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, but you don't see cars really. And then all of a sudden, like it's boom, you just see like a total difference after the
And
war.
then
It's like,
America comes in, they're like, we got jeeps
Yeah.
and jets. Like,
yeah, we want the geishas, brother.
yeah. So awful.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. You're right. That was like, in a way, like, I don't know if beautiful is the right word, but it's like such a weird sight to see, like this two worlds meeting, like all this war and
Yeah.
shit.
Right.
The juxtaposition of
Yeah,
it.
it's, I don't know, like for me, I don't know like that or Japanese history that well. Like I don't know like when all this stuff changed, but like when it turned into World War II, it was like holy fuck. Like I didn't realize it was like looked like that up until then. Does
Yeah,
that make
very
sense?
traditional.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, I always thought that was like way older. I mean, it probably was, but like it was crazy
Yeah.
to see that, and it was like
And
Jarring.
that is
That's
yeah,
what's so
jarring, that's a good
interesting.
word.
Is like, I mean, this movie starts out in the 1920s, which, yeah, it's a long time ago, but like it's only 100 years ago. Like it's not like
Yeah,
800 years ago, like it kind of
Right.
feels,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's a good point, James. Is like once that transition happens, you're like, wait, this is the 30s. Like we were
Yeah.
about to, I mean, we have nuclear weapons. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is going down, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and oh
Huh.
shit, what was I gonna say? I don't know. Fucking goddamn it, lost it. Whatever.
Maybe that adds to the feeling of it being so jumpy. It's just that it, and I don't know the history either, so like,
Yeah, like if
that's
we
what happened,
knew
like,
that
that's
it was
kinda
set
insane.
there, it would probably make more sense. But
yeah,
Mhm.
it didn't feel like that
Uh,
set in that time period for us
Right.
Americans.
Yeah.
that's probably it. But I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things here. So it's like, I mean, look how much have we talked about, like in this, and I know there's like a lot of shit that it, brings up in the movie, but like, I kind of didn't expect us to talk about this many different things. Like
We
as
hardly
deeply
talked
as we
about the
have.
plot, really.
Exactly. We didn't really talk about anything that had to do with the movie. It
But
was
is
just
that a
like, oh,
good
Yeah.
is that a good sign of the
is that a
movie?
good thing?
I don't know.
know.
Okay, it
I don't
can
know.
be, but for this particular
Can
case,
be.
I don't know if
'Cause
I
it's
would
like-
argue that.
If you were to spell out the plot in like a sentence, it wouldn't be that complicated. It's just the
Right.
time jumps and the saga-esque feeling of it that makes it so
Yeah.
like epic or whatever. Maybe I just don't like saga type. What is the word that I'm trying to say? Like expansive,
long
like
journey,
stories. Yeah. I don't know.
Period
Hmm.
pieces.
No, because
Well, that's not necessarily like,
yeah,
because that just means like a movie like based in
a certain time.
a
Different
long time ago, different
in a
period.
time.
Yeah.
Once upon a time. In Hollywood.
But then, yeah, I was looking up, like, I paused, like, pretty early in the movie to look up just, like, history of geisha stuff, just so I can, like, get a better feel for, like, all the different words they were using, like, oh my god, I don't remember the words for it, like, their little, like, community that they had, like, whatever that name was, and, like, all the
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
No. Okia.
Okay, yeah. And it's, like, the geisha were, like, not even, it didn't seem like they were that popular this late into the, with this 1900s.
Into the into the 19th, yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, like they kind of went away around World War II. It seemed like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just forgetting everything I read. but,
Yeah,
like, it
well,
didn't
and,
seem
like,
like
there was
this
a-
is when they were popular.
So like it's the other thing that I kind of did research on was that geisha, like people that were essentially like geisha but didn't have that name, had been around for like
Yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of years before, and then they kind of like recently, like towards the later years started calling them geisha, and then yeah, like after World War II, or even like probably closer to, I think like modern day, like there's like less than 1,000 geisha, because geishas still do exist today, but it's just one thing I saw there was like less than 200. One thing I saw was like less than 1,000, but
it's like not a
Not very
cultural
many compared
stepstone
to-
it was.
yeah, and then compared to like at its, closer to its peak was like in the tens of thousands. Like I think I saw like close to 100,000, 85,000 at like one time.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely a declining industry.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, so like the whole World War II thing was just so weird. And like maybe that's part of it is like when the Americans come and they're just like dressing up just to please them, like they're not really geisha like in that moment because they're just
Yeah.
trying to like put on a show for these people that don't even know what a geisha is, all this
still
stuff.
trying to survive.
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
hard times for Japan.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
Interesting.
and just not a practical business model anymore, I think, to be a geisha. So that's probably why I fell out too. But yeah, we talked, a little bit about the ending scene, kind of that monologue and stuff. I've already
How
said
did-
my opinion about it. It felt weird just because it felt like this payoff that should have been such a big deal, but it was like she was 9.
It
Like,
felt-
why
So-
do you love her?
So after Pumpkin does this old switcheroo
Mhm.
with the chairman,
chairman,
instead of
yeah.
Nobu, while she's dry humping the colonel. How did she get up on that fucking mountain to throw away the fucking the handkerchief
dude.
all dramatically?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is
That
going
was-
on?
That was a big fucking mountain.
Oh my god, that was like, oh dude.
Yeah.
She took like a fucking 3-day fucking backpack journey up this fucking mountain just to throw. I mean, badass
It's the
shot,
American
but
jet, man.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of great visuals for sure.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a few, like maybe 3 or 4 shots of Sayori walking or running away from the camera at different points of the movie, and they were all stunning. Like there was one where she was a kid running through like these orange like poles, like stalks or something. It just looks so
Bamboo.
cool. And at the end, she's walking on like the rocks that are in the pond. Like it was like, holy fuck! There's some really cool shots in it.
Yeah.
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 All right, boys. Are
One
we
of
ready
my-
to do rounding
sorry.
thoughts? What do you got, Jay?
One of my favorite shots was the scene near the end where she's walking onto that like bridge thing or something, and they zoom like way out, and you can just barely see her like moving, but it's like
Mhm.
I don't know, it's so cool. It's just like larger than
Yeah.
life feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys got anything else? Should we rate this thing?
Shout out to
No.
Ken Watanabe, Detective Pikachu, and Godzilla.
And Godzilla.
It's Godzilla's BFF, if you guys don't remember, in the recent movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's rate this. I feel like I haven't went first in a long time, so I'm volunteering myself to go first.
Do it.
Do it.
So, it's interesting. Like, as I was watching this movie, I watched it, very recently. I had to watch it in 2 parts because, school nights or whatever. But as I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this is like actually a pretty good movie. Like, I think artistically it was really working. Like a lot of the shots and the cinematography like did actually really draw me in, and especially the music. Like John Williams did it again, took on a challenge, and I would argue like thoroughly succeeded.
Yeah.
But the day after, it was like that buyer's remorse where I was just like, oh man, like there was actually a lot that I really didn't like about it. Like I think the main point being like this movie is supposed to lead up to this giant romance, but that romance just is like tainted by this really uncomfortable relationship between a 9-year-old and a 45-year-old. And like it's hard as an audience member to like try to see like the love there. And I get that, the beautiful line in the monologue at the end, this is not a memoir of an empress or a queen, it's the memoir of something else. And like this was the best possible happiness that she could have gotten. But it just feels like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, we already said this movie was definitely geared towards Americans and towards, that whole thing. So it was just like, why couldn't we just have her meet the chairman's son or something, who's like maybe 16 at the time, like a little bit older than her compared to her being 9 and him 45. And then like her son taking on that role of the chairman, and then it leading up to this whole thing where like they get to I don't know, it just feels like that would be a better payoff than what they had. But you could make the argument that that's not the payoff that a geisha is, because she shouldn't expect happiness, and they kind of allude to that quite a bit. I think the other thing, the big thing that we talked about was like this movie should have just straight up been in Japanese. Like it should have been in Japanese, subtitled, and that, especially the day after, that just, and during, I mean, it just took so much away. A lot of the line delivery just fell flat, and I don't know if it was necessarily a fault of the actors or even the writing. It was just a dialect thing. Like it's not their first language, and it's, it just didn't always work. It was like, come on, let's have it in Japanese. Put subtitles on it. As Taryn said, I think if this movie was made today, they would have fixed a lot of those issues, if not all of them. and this would have been actually a really, really good movie. But I've got to rate it to where it was in 2005, and there was a lot left to desire. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I don't know. I just didn't think it was. I didn't think it was great. It's pretty low for me. It's like a 5.8, right there. 5.8 out of 10.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Who wants to take over next?
I'll do it.
Taryn, take it away.
So yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Like the first act of this movie felt like such a slog for me. Like when they first started talking in Japanese, I was like, wait, the subtitles aren't working. What's going on? They started talking in English. I was like, why the fuck are they talking in English? I was just like, all these conflicting thoughts going through my head, and it wasn't like easy to follow, I guess, at the beginning. But I feel like the second act I really enjoyed. The whole like teaching her to be a geisha when Mameha comes in, like all that stuff I really liked, and it was like I forgot about like the English part of it. Like I was actually sucked in for it, and it was, I don't know, it was entertaining. But then like once it got towards like the third act with the war and all this other stuff, it was just like it brought it back down. I was like, I wish it was just a one-way kind of relationship that Sayori felt towards the chairman. Like if he just didn't reciprocate because he's like 100 years old at this point. It's
Yeah.
like that would have been a better conclusion, because it's like, you know, like you were saying, like geishas don't get happiness, they don't
Yeah.
get what they want. It should have
Yeah.
ended like that, maybe.
Or yeah, that's a good point. Or it just ended with her being unhappy, and
Like
it's
it,
just like that's
yeah,
her life.
like it was an endearing first scene, like it was a good reason for her to keep going and pushing through all this stuff, but I don't like that it paid off the way that she wanted, even though she
Mhm.
was happy, sure. But pretty interesting movie. I don't know. It's I don't know if there's many like American movies that take on this kind of like super like different culture like this, and I think that's kind of crazy that they even like made this movie. But I don't know. John Williams was the best part of that Western production, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I was saying, I feel like if this movie could have still been good with this exact production, these same actors, all this stuff, they just fumbled it in a couple areas that really hurt it. In 2.5 hours, I don't know, man. These fucking saga movies that are just make it into 2 movies, make it a show, do something else. No one, ain't nobody got time for this.
Alicia said sorry, dude.
This is no slight to Alicia. We're
No,
mad
not
at
at all.
it. It was fun to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And just reading about geishas and stuff, like that was my favorite part probably. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is super
Doing
interesting.
some homework. Yeah.
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 So yeah, I don't know. Enjoyable at parts, beautiful the whole way through, of course. Like, yeah, it did not reek of the aughts to me at all, because it was just so pretty, and like most of those movies are really trashy looking.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. Conflicting watch. I'll rate it like a 6 probably. So close to Adrian.
Okay. Solid
Wow.
6 out of 10. Who wants to take it away? Taryn? Or, I mean, Jay or James?
I feel like Jay
say
always goes
James.
last. Oh.
I think I'm
Wow.
okay to go last in this one, only because I think I have a diverse set of things that I can say.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, so I'm just like everyone else. Okay.
Damn.
You're big.
I'm not saying
John Williams is cool. 10 out of 10. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're all in the agreement that they needed to do this in Japanese. But besides that, I thought the acting was pretty great. I thought Michelle Yeoh, who plays Mameha, was really freaking good. It's making me want to watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, who stars both her and
Sayuri.
Sayuri. So, and she was really good in Crazy Rich Asians. But yeah, the acting is actually pretty good for what they're given. I mean, it's
Yeah.
this white idea of this is how the East is like. Oh, it's so dark and mysterious, and they try to like build up that mystery.
Yeah.
But it's hard because they put all this beautiful stuff on top of it, and it's almost like they're fucking putting it back to the geisha. You got all this beautiful white makeup, but what's underneath is like all the bad things, and that's what like this
Yeah.
movie kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to feel sympathy like when they try to do the one last ride together. You're just like, why fucking even do it? Like, what? This is like a shitty ass patriarchal like construct. Like, why even deal with that?
Oh my god,
So
we didn't
it's
even
like
talk about that awful scene with the what's his face? God damn it.
the Baron.
Yeah.
Oh, or
Uncomfortable.
the Baron or Mr. Krabs?
Baron.
What's his name?
He's
Mr.
like,
Krabs.
try on this kimono.
Kimono.
Except don't
Oh
Yeah.
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 It's best not to talk about that, I think, 'cause I don't know.
Yeah,
You're right.
I mean, it's just gross. Like half the time you're just. But I don't know. But that really isn't like a negative for me because I feel like it's just tragic that this girl has only that little bit of thing to hold on to. Like the scene when she's just like, "We're your family now." The mother of the geisha school.
Mhm.
She's like, and then all of a sudden she just gets a letter. Your mom's dead. Your dad's dead. Your sister left you. It's just you and fucking Hatsumomo now, and you're just
Yeah.
about to get fucking tortured. Oh, we didn't even talk about the scene where she goes up into her
Yes.
skirt and was like, she's like, oh yeah,
Dude,
No,
yes.
there's been a man in
Wow.
this house. Close it up.
I think she
Fucking
was like trying
lock
to
it
see
up.
if she was wet, right? Because like then she would know she was with the man. I think that's what I got from
Yeah.
it, and it was
Whoa,
so
whoa.
I
weird.
thought she was trying to scoop cum out of there. I was gonna bring this up in my review, so I'm glad
Yeah.
you
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was seeing if she was
Which-
wet because like then she would know a guy was wet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way,
Yeah.
it was just hilarious and really gross.
Gosh.
But
Just
like,
what
okay.
the fuck?
Okay, so going back to Hatsumomo, like I mean, I thought she was pretty decent character. Like just she probably had the same hardships that Chio had, but she knows the cutthroat business, so you can't blame her. You can't even really hate her. I think what Pumpkin did at the end was like way more gasp. Oh my god. And see,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the drama aspect of it, but it's just all pretty and it's just basically a fucking soap opera, right? It's not that great, but they have one thing going for them, and it's set design, the costumes, it's the music. I don't know. Not that bad for me. 6.8.
Damn.
6.8 out of 10 from James. Jay, let's hear your unique take
Oh
on
my
this.
god, before James is done, this has to do with James, I swear. Chio was
Go
in
ahead.
Rush Hour 2, apparently.
Yeah, she's the baddie in Rush Hour, dude. That's always how it goes. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, she's the baddie.
Wow. I guess I'll start by saying y'all rated this real high, higher than I thought you guys would.
5.8's high? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
low
beautiful
for
movie.
you.
Like that's
It's
the
Okay,
low
thing.
for you.
I
That's the
didn't
thing.
even mention that I would say watch this movie because it's beautiful. I think I would recommend people to watch this. I don't know, you put it on the background, you listen to those sweet jams, you watch that sweet cinematography. The world's
Yeah.
great, man.
Sure, yeah.
The world goes
Yeah.
on.
I don't hate it. Which is saying I hate it. I don't hate it. But like I've given like 6s to movies that are not, not awful. And I'm not saying this is awful, but I am saying that it's missing a lot of things. It
Oh, for
has a
sure.
lot of things going for it. I'm not gonna cut that down or deny it. It's beautifully shot, and if y'all have listened for more than one episode, you know that I'm a sucker for beautiful shooting. So there is that. It's like I said, the performance scene, worth it alone. That was one of the coolest things I've probably ever seen in film. The music was great. You know, all the things that we've already said. It should have been in Japanese, blah blah blah. There's a few one-liners that really got me. Like, one of them was, "You should never ask an engineer to explain a thing because he will."
Yeah.
And like I know that from experience, and I've probably also been guilty of it. Um, Another one was, which was really interesting. We talked about how they towed the line between like prostitution and being a geisha, and you know, there's a line in there before that her, what we assume is her virginity getting sold, where she says, "Not every," or somebody says this, "Not every geisha uses that currency," right? Talking about like the sex work side of it. But yeah, I think that there's just like a lot of things that don't land for me, a lot of things missing, a lot of random things that just kind of happen and they're not ever really explained or like,
Isn't that every
you know,
saga movie though, dude? I don't know.
kind of, but to the point where like, you know, like just real random. Like we jumped around a lot and now there's like all these ties that are trying to be made and I don't know. Not as well done as some of the other saga movies or whatever. But it is beautiful and that's hard to disagree with. And now I feel bad for giving it the score that I'm about to give it. But for me, this is like a 4.3. Like I don't hate it, and I didn't hate watching it. I struggled watching it, but I didn't hate watching it. But I did take something away from it, and like, it's just the other things, the like storytelling piece that just didn't really do it for me. But I care about that a lot. But I did get something out of it, so like, I don't want it to sound like I hated it. But yeah, 4 point. What did I say? 3, 4.3.
Damn.
I also don't feel like I've been rating movies fairly, and I'm just trying to be more honest here, you know?
Yeah,
Fair.
okay.
Good, I appreciate that.
Adrian's gone from the chat, so how do we do this? We got 4.3. What did I give it? 6.8?
Yeah,
What did you give it?
6. And then Adrian was
6?
5.8. Yeah.
5.8. Yeah.
5.8. And then we divide that by 4.
Uh-huh.
That is a collective 5.7 from the Fumblers. Wow. 5.
Yeah,
It's
I
been a
dropped that
while. We've seen you there. We
I-
haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I expected a lot out of this movie. It seemed like it was like a prestigious movie. Maybe it's just because of the names
Yeah.
behind it. Maybe it's because people say it's
Yeah.
pretty. I don't know.
And I think it's just reminds us of when we were young. That was a movie that you always heard about. Like it felt like there was a lot of hype back in the day. And then I don't know if I never saw this movie before, but yeah,
Even
it's
the name of
5.7.
it was like, oh, this is like a tale.
The
I don't know.
Memoirs.
I had heard of
Wow.
this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd
yeah.
heard of this, you know.
Yeah.
Alicia asked if
Yeah.
we had ever seen it. I had never seen this before. No,
Never.
this is my first time.
Yeah. So we're watching it again this weekend. All right. All right.
Re-rate.
5.7 out of the Fumblers. We would love to know what you guys think. You can let us know at all our socials, Film Fumblers everywhere. Filmfumblers.com is
Instagram
where you can
especially.
find us. Instagram. Next week, we are reviewing Shang-Chi?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Shang-Chi and the
Shang- I
Legend
didn't
of
wanna-
the 7 Rings.
10 rings.
Fuck.
10 rings. Marvel's newest in the post-COVID lol. Just kidding. In the
Post-Endgame.
COVID
Oh,
era.
That's what you were gonna say.
No, no. I'm just saying people are actually gonna go to the theaters to see this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, catch us next Tuesday where we're gonna be reviewing that. Thank you guys for joining us on this Tuesday, almost at Thursday. Tuesday night. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Bye.